It's patch day in DC Dark Legion, and today's update brings yet another round of major updates to the game. We really are, in many ways, playing a completely different game than what we were playing at global launch, and I'm really excited about a couple of the changes that they've made this time around. So let's dive straight in and look at some of the things that have come to the game with this update. Immediately when you log in, you'll notice the first thing, or at least the first thing that I saw, was seems they've added this little sleep item to your base to remind you of the things that you should probably be working on. So it's telling me that I need to do some more tech research, which will load some of that up at some point soon. But the first thing that most players are going to be greeted with when they log into the game for the first time after this update is the new trophy room that they've introduced. So I've already unlocked my trophy room on this account, but you can see that when you click into it, you'll have the ability to view the actual showcase. You can see the rankings for trophy room, and then you'll also be able to access the monitor's mementos from here. So the trophy room is going to be directly related to the memento system, and I'll be putting out a video on the memento system probably sometime next week, just to kind of talk through how everything works today. But if we jump straight into the showcase, it brings you to the room, and this is probably the first room where you kind of get like the full view on your screen. And it looks like they give you this general decor. So there's like a wood flooring that you can add, kind of like the first thing to kind of cozy up your trophy room. But you'll have the ability to unlock additional flooring and probably wallpaper and things like that in the future. I imagine we can expect to see some room skins for this room with some of the events that'll be coming out in the future. If we back out of that, you can see that there are some different items that so you can explore the room, different things that you can click on, and you can also go through them here as well. If you click the information icon, you can get a little bit more information about the room, like how you're able to, or you can get a little bit more information about the specific trophy or item and how to acquire it. This one is locked. It says it's not available. Let's back out and find something that is available, or should be. Okay, so here we have the Giant Joker card. Giant Joker card is going to be unlocked by completing memento sets, and it appears that most of the trophies here will actually be unlocked by completing memento sets. So if we click this arrow icon, it's going to take us to the memento system, or the collection window, and they've added in this little trophy icon for the completion rewards. So you can see which ones you'll get for each set. Obviously, we have the Giant Joker card here, but we can scroll through. Some of the sets do not have a trophy associated with them, but like here we have the Penguins Umbrella Trophy. It looks like they've got Jason Todd's costume. So a few trophies are already available in the game to earn. I think I've seen where a couple of people have actually already earned trophies, because the rankings are showing some people got 50. Well, I guess I don't know how I don't think I have a trophy. I guess they're saying that flooring is a trophy. So that's kind of cool. Ultimately, really excited about the trophy room. Again, we'll be featuring this a little bit more in my standalone memento video next week. As always with these updates, there's probably going to be a new hyper time tracker for most of you guys. For myself, so all of the early servers 200 through 205, we now have Talia al Ghul available in the bleed. So definitely be checking your bleed to see whether there's a new champion for you to pull for. I expect there's probably going to be, actually, let's just go ahead and check now. Okay, so it looks like for the global launch servers, which is approximately 206 through the high 200s, probably around 275 or so, maybe a little bit less than that. But like for those global launch servers that came into the game in the March timeframe, you're going to be getting Hawkgirl. I know this was one that people were asking questions about, like, who was going to come after all of the Superman family champions were in the bleed or cycled through the bleed. So now we know that you're going to get basically the cadence is going to be Constantine and then Nightwing and then Hawkgirl. So I reasonably would expect that after Hawkgirl leaves the bleed, that the global launch players and really anyone else in the game is going to see Martian Manhunter and then Starfire. So we'll be doing an updated bleed strategy guide and bleed strategy guide companion video in the near future to talk about this one. And the next major update, and this one really is the biggest update I think that's coming to the game with this update, is for Supreme Commander. So right now, I suppose I should say yesterday, so prior to today's update, the way Supreme Commander worked is it kind of went in tandem with League mobilization, and I actually just released a daily routine video that talked about League mobilization and how to maximize it. So I suppose another one of those videos is going to have to come fairly soon to talk a little bit more about that. But the way Supreme Commander is going to work now, don't worry, like Supreme Commander, or maybe worry, Supreme Commander is not going away. It's still going to exist as you remember it. So there's still going to be the 5 themed days. And it seems like all those theme days are not changing, or at least not right now. So the way you were doing Supreme Commander in the past will continue. The biggest change is that League mobilization is gone, and there are 2 new game modes that have been added that are part of Supreme Commander. So let's go ahead and jump over to League Duel, which is the first new game mode. And League Duel is going to be a weekly event, and it's going to be league versus league. So it's going to be 2 leagues competing against one another for the entire week. And it's my assumption is that this is going to go in tandem with your Supreme Commander. So basically, as you complete all the Supreme Commander days, you're going to be accumulating points towards this League Duel, and at the end, you're going to get certain rewards. Now, we can take a look at the rewards for this. If you win, you're going to be getting 6 random mythic shards. You'll get a few quantum components, gems, anvils, and AC/DC shards. If you lose, you're still going to be getting a decent amount of rewards. So this is sort of just kind of an iterative like bonus reward that you're going to be getting as a league for completing Supreme Commander. And losing really isn't that bad of a deal. You're still getting a decent amount of rewards. So I think this is going to be good for everyone involved. If we jump over to Tournament is going to be a 4-week long event, so it's going to last for the duration of the month. There are going to be 16 teams involved in the tournament, and basically you'll need to win matches, presumably on a weekly basis, but potentially faster than that in order to be eligible for the tournament. Now, there is going to be a promotion system associated with the league tournament. You can see it appears that the way they calculate who's allowed to participate in the tournament, it's based on being in the top 8 leagues on your server and then having at least 20 league members. So this is very similar, if not the exact same requirements as Gotham War. So keep that in mind. Again, you want to be vying for a spot in one of those top 8 leagues. If you're a very active player and you have a halfway decent roster, you should look at applying to one of those, or maybe seeking a merger for your league into one of those. We talked about how the league setup or the server setup is, and it seems that we're not going to be getting the server mergers or migrations as quickly as we initially thought. So something that you're going to have to just continue to work around is making sure that you're always in a competitive league, or the most competitive league that you can get into. But you'll see that the possible rewards for league tournament are kind of huge, and this is an iterative way to earn Magic Eyes. This is going to be in addition to your personal Supreme Commander rewards that you're able to earn. So I think it's going to be quite nice. It's a good additional way to earn Magic Eyes. And if you're in a somewhat competitive league and you're participating in this, you're participating in Gotham War, you should be potentially doubling your accumulation of Magic Eyes, and for some players even more than that if you're in the league that's winning these events. you're going to be getting even more. So, probably like almost half of a unique legacy piece in a month that you're able to earn. Before, it took a lot longer to earn a unique legacy piece. So I think a really nice addition. Take a look at the reward screen here. So you'll start out in Gladiator Group, and the top 10 leagues in Gladiator Group are going to be able to earn 40 Magic Eyes, which is the primary reward there. Just thinking about this a little bit more, because this is the first time I've really looked at this, it looks like the top league in Gladiator Group, it has it broken down by, I think these are players. So the top 10 players are going to get the 40 Magic Eyes. 11 through 30 gets 30, and then 31 through 100 gets 20. So still a decent amount of Magic Eyes, even for your lowest participants. If you have some players come in that are just brand new to the game and they're in a really good league, they're going to be able to earn a decent amount of Magic Eyes here. If we go down, the second and third place leagues are going to get slightly fewer. We'll go to 4 through 16. So if you are, I'm not sure why all of 4 through 16 get the exact same rewards, but basically if you're not competitive in the top couple of leagues, you're going to get the exact same. Kind of takes a little bit of the incentive away to try to be the best if you don't have a ton of whales in your league. But at any rate, again, these are iterative rewards that you're going to be getting on top of everything else. This is not, I suppose technically they're taking away the league mobilization rewards and adding these in. But in my experience, I don't think I was getting 10 Magic Eyes a month from league mobilization. Let me know in the comments below if you were getting, 10 or more Magic Eyes in league mobilization, but I don't think that was happening. So again, I think these are better rewards than what we were getting with league mobilization. Now, if we jump to Elite Group, you can see that the reward tiers are going to change, and even the lowest ranked leagues are going to be getting, like the lowest players in those leagues are going to be getting 20 Magic Eyes. And if we jump to Master Group, that jumps to 30, and then everything kind of goes up from there. So the top league, the top players are going to be getting 60 Magic Eyes. 11 through 30 gets 50. 31 through 100 is going to get 40. So really, really nice rewards here for the top players in the game. I'm assuming this is going to, they're going to, similar to some of the other game modes, there's going to be kind of server clusters. So you'll probably be competing against people from other servers in these game modes. So keep that in mind. You're not just going to be going against players from your league or from your server. The next item they added is Blood Moon Arena, which is part of the Realm of Fate. So the character or tag specific training simulator levels. And this one is going to be all about League of Assassins. I'm probably not going to do well here. My League of Assassins is by far the weakest team that I have available to me. I only have Ra's al Ghul at 3 white stars, and Deathstroke is only at 0 stars. So I probably won't get too many levels here. It looks like we've got some first clears up through level 150. So I'm curious. This is definitely not going to be the best team here. So I'm curious how that's going to look once some of our whales start pulling for some of these champions. The next new thing that we have is something that refreshes on a weekly basis, and it's this price slash feature that they've introduced. So they're going to be adding a mystery store item, like a special item, and it can be sort of upgraded. So you start out, I think this was like 400 and something, 450 gems to get 15 AC/DC shards, and that has been reduced by all of my league mates and in-game friends down to 36 gems. So it's quite nice. Now this is like a random event, so each person helping gives like a random reduction to the amount of shards. So I imagine some of you guys may end up getting like discounts on this to the point where you're actually getting gems instead of losing them. And you can click this hamburger in the top right of the box, and you'll be able to see all the people who have assisted you. I'll go ahead and like them. We got a couple here that were really nice. Like I got a 45, did get a 9, so a couple of 9s. I think it's just your mileage is going to vary, but I would say 36 gems to get 15 ACDC shards is pretty good. And I'm curious to see what other items are going to come to this weekly refresh portion of the shop that you'll be able to get. I wonder if they'll introduce some other items as well, like anvils, for example. I think that one will be pretty popular. And then we've got some upgrades to League Tech Research. This is probably going to be a little bit more helpful for Wells than it is for anyone else. But there's a couple of things that they've done. The first thing is they have auto research set now. So if you end up getting one of these, so like if we go in here, if we were to get this all the way to the end and it was ready for research, if no one is around, if none of your officers are around to research that, after 6 hours, if you have enough league contribution tokens available, it will just automatically do the research for that, which I think will be helpful for leagues that aren't quite as active, or maybe you have all of your officers work kind of the same schedule and they're just not able to jump on. That's going to be quite helpful for a lot of leagues. And then you have this gem donation feature here that they mentioned where it's kind of a tiered system. So I've already done all of my donations for the league up to 100 gems. It started out, I want to say, around 2x. So for those very early donations, I think like the 10 gem and 25 gem, I forget if it's 25 or not, but the early ones you're going to get 2x, then 4x, then 10x, then it goes up to 40x here for the 100 gems. And I don't really want to find out how much you can get to with the higher gem donations. I'm sure one of you whales out there will be happy to let me know in the comments. But it is quite nice if you're trying to get more league contribution to spend. We'll do one 100 gem donation just to kind of see what this looks like. So you end up getting 480 league contribution. You get like just a handful, like maybe 12 per. It shows here. So you get 12 per if you just do the dollar donation. So keep that in mind. Like you will be able to, on an exponential basis, get more league contribution if you're a big spender. They retired league mobilization. I really wish they would also retire Checkmate Crisis. It's like just a set it and forget it type mode where you just set up your roster and you're not even guaranteed to get your roster used as part of it. But the idea is really that the officers of the league get an extra task to do, where you're just kind of like setting up squads to go against one another. They have made a couple of improvements, they said, to Checkmate Crisis. So battles are going to follow more of a wave-based format in the future. And then if you recall, you get certain like event-related mail for Checkmate Crisis. They've updated the way that you receive that. So hopefully that'll be a little less annoying for all the rest of us who don't participate in the actual battle system. They've made a couple of improvements to squad slots as well. And the first one is going to be associated with your rewards that you can obtain from the squad slot. So if we go down here, you can see it's still the same thing where you can obtain the rewards from this little box on the outside. But if you open it up, instead of obtaining the rewards here for whenever something's completed, you just complete it at the top, which means that if you have like 4 items that are ready to claim, they're all just going to appear up here in the top. So you just click on that, you get all your rewards. The other thing that they changed is whenever something completes, actually, let's just go ahead. I'll show you how it works. So if we do one of these 15-second dispatches, and I will open this up and we'll wait on the 15-second timer to finish up. And this squad should just automatically disband for us. There you go. So at the end of any sort of like crisis response or your Umbral Rift, anything that requires a squad to be tied up in one of these slots, whenever that combat completes, it's just going to go away. You'll be able to obtain your rewards and keep going. So it's not going to like tie up that slot until you go in and click on it. I think that's a really nice quality of life item. Next up on the list is gear improvement. So there are a couple of things here. One I don't really see as an improvement, but they have adjusted the gear inventory so that you can only have up to 100 gear items unequipped. So once you hit that 100th piece of unequipped gear, everything above that, like basically you're going to have to sell gear to be able to obtain more. I think this is not a great decision from the devs. I'm not really sure why they decided to do this, but there are a couple of things that I can foresee. Number one, it just prevents optionality with gear and being able to kind of swap between sets and things like that. With I guess number two, the transmute system at some point, and I'm not at this point yet, but some people are going to get there. When you transmute a piece of gear, it can no longer be destroyed. So if you have all of your champions equipped with transmuted gear, and then you have all 100 of those additional slots equipped with transmuted gear, you have no way to obtain new gear for your champion. I would say that is objectively not an improvement to the system. And even before you get to the point where all your gear is transmuted and you're full up in inventory, we're going to have a situation where, like, some of us like to just completely like unequip our roster and then re-equip it. Or maybe if we're trying to do a specific training simulator, I might take my best gear off of my best team, like Superman family, and put that onto another team that I'm trying to push with so that I can get a higher score. Instead of being able to just pull all the gear off and then equip it as I see fit, what I'm going to have to do is replace or swap the gear between the two champions, and it's just going to be a very tedious process. So this really unoptimizes the gear system, and I really hope that this is just part of a larger set of changes that they're going to be making to gear. I know that there are some things that are coming down the pipeline, so I really hope that they'll at least listen to this feedback and investigate it. And maybe they've got something coming that we're just not quite prepared for. The other thing, and I do consider this an improvement, it's a good change because a lot of us now have a massive amount of building blocks available to spend, is if you get to War Room level 10, if you get to Armory level 10 or higher, you will have the ability to purchase random gear pieces from the mystery store using building blocks. And you can see that the better quality gear is going to cost more building blocks. So here, I'm assuming, looks like this is Mythic Plus gear with a random tag. Let's buy one of these and see what we get. Okay, so that's actually really, really good. That's a welcome change in my opinion, because you're going to get level 500 gear with a random tag on it. It's very difficult to fish for tagged gear going through just the normal Armory crafting system. You're not always guaranteed to get these pieces. So being able to purchase 10 of these a week, or actually 10 a reset with building blocks, is going to be quite helpful. Now you'll probably run out really quick because that's quite a hefty amount that you're paying. Like, let's just do 9 of those. So that's 130,000, about 140,000 or so, 145,000 for 10 of the random tagged gear Mythic Plus pieces. But I think I have roughly 1 million of these building blocks, so I'll go ahead and do this and see what we get. Okay, so I mean, actually some pretty decent ones here. I've been fishing for some Superman gear for quite a while, so this is actually going to be really nice for us. The next change that they've made is to the base room appointment system, and it looks like they say some visual improvements, and they've also changed which champions get the best percentages per room. So that's something myself and Tavoka, another creator in the community, have a base room appointment guide that's been around for basically since the beginning of this year, and we'll definitely have to make some changes to that. So be on the lookout in August for an updated base room appointment guide. And I'll probably not make any sort of like specific video for that guide because it's pretty straightforward process. But you're looking for those 30% champions for each base room. So I think hopefully there will be some champions who are getting some additional some increases rather than decreases here, but we'll be investigating that. We'll put that guide out for you. I made one slight adjustment to the league train, and I think this one is going to give a little bit more optionality to the league officers to make sure that more people are guaranteed spots on the train. So I know people get really frustrated about the train. The fact that it's just kind of random variance, whether you'll get on if you're not one of the carriage inspectors. This is going to allow the R4s to reward some players, whether that be players who are like on the lower end of the spectrum and not able to compete as much, that don't have as good rosters, they can get guaranteed spots, or to reward people who do really well in game modes and that sort of thing. So I definitely appreciate the optionality. It's going to add extra work for your officers, but definitely going to be a helpful improvement to the game. They seem to also be focusing heavily on the new player experience, which I think is something they should have been doing, several months ago. But they seem to also be doing some improvements for early game players. I think this is a welcome change to the game. There's probably a little bit of attrition from players who just don't like the early game experience. It's too much of a grind for them, or it's not visually appealing. So I think they're making the right decision trying to push forward with some of these early game UI improvements. So definitely a welcome change there. And this video is getting a little bit long. Typically we run around 30 minutes or so for these update videos, or that's where I'd like it to be. A little bit longer here because there have been just so many new things that they've added to the game. But I'll just kind of speed run through some of the bullet points from the official Discord post. They've added a new management chat channel for R4 and above members so that you can coordinate easier. They've updated the champion attribute labels for defense and men, which apparently stands for mentality. So defense, as we know, is physical defense, and then men or mentality was for spiritual defense. They've just changed it to PDEF and SDEF, and I think that's going to be a welcome change to help keep people from getting confused there. Looks like they've improved the champion deployment logic for initial squads in Darkest Timeline. I'm going to take a look at that and maybe revisit Darkest Timeline in a video coming up. I know I've kind of like let that game mode fall by the wayside for obvious reasons, but definitely we'll be taking a fresh look at the game mode and maybe putting a couple of new videos out in August for that. One big request from the community was to be able to recall your squads in coordinated assaults before you go into combat. You can now do that, so that's a welcome change. They've added display for apocalypse levels and bonuses to the PvP screens, like the post fight screens, so you'll be able to get more information on exactly what your opponents are running. Really helpful for whales and folks who are highly competitive at the top, because you're going to be going against those people a lot, and you can kind of get screenshots for or snapshots for like what they're up to with their roster. They've added a power bonus display for multiversal force upgrades. You'll be able to see how much power those upgrades are going to add for you. And they've also done some improvements to the UI. You see it looks a lot more clean. This used to be just a static image, I believe, and so now they've made this kind of much more visually appealing overlay. Looks like we'll be getting some additional UI adjustments for buildings in Guardian Challenge, Krypton Rush, and Battle for Gotham. So we talked about those improvements on my recent podcast episode with Unstable Gamer, but really excited to see more of those UI improvements in the game modes that we're spending the most time in. So kudos to the dev team on that. Looks like they renamed Drone Room to Drone Lab, which I don't know that there's much significance to that. They updated the description of the Superman Family faction bonus, but it doesn't change the faction bonus itself. So if you're a Superman Family fan, you can breathe a sigh of relief. They did not nerf or change the Superman Family faction bonus for a third time. I think we're solid with where that's at. And then there have been some bug fixes. I'm not going to mention those here because I don't see any changes to champion kits. But there have been some bug fixes that will probably fix a few game-breaking experiences in the game and hopefully squash those items. But that's it for this update. Again, like I said, really substantial update. I didn't expect some of these changes to be coming. I knew we were probably going to be getting the Supreme Commander change because of Wolf's announcement a few days ago. But A lot of these changes are things that I didn't really expect. You know, obviously a lot of iterative changes with the UI, but I really feel like the game is just really coming into form, and it's in an amazing state right now. There obviously are some issues and some concerns that we as a community have, but this update definitely addresses some of the major concerns that we have out there. And we'll definitely continue to monitor the meta and monitor how some of these changes have affected the player base in the coming weeks. As always, if you enjoyed this content, consider joining the channel as a member, or at least hitting the subscribe button. If you do that, you will get notifications anytime I come out with another video on DC Dark Legion, and if not, I hope to see you in the next video.